What are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your sensei, Al Bob, here to tell you a story. I have had this lucky bastard motif in my life since I was born. Um, my parents really shouldn't have had children. Pretty much most people shouldn't have children. I mean, most people, my dad, we had, he used us as a means of production, right? When he started his first business, he had us, we were the assembly line. We were child labor, all six of us were sticking end papers into little boxes and we got paid by end of the day. He brought us to Carvel and we got an ice cream cone. So, and that's where we are today, right? Why is there, uh, you know, um, we haven't really had inflation. We normally, in modern economy, since the Boer. No, let's go back to the Crimean War, right? And basically, things would deflate, right? And we really didn't have inflation until um, end of World War One. And now there were always, things that you couldn't get. That was a problem. The supply chain, let's say. Now that was there. That was understandable. But there was never inflation, and inflation didn't happen. Howdy, Janie Pooh. Jane, come on. I want to hear from you and everybody else who wants to, talk to me in person. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? And the phone number you gave me, Jane, it says I'm blocked. So I'll stop trying to call you. But I'd like to hear anyone that I've sent my writings to, some real serious what it's done for you, made, how it woke you, right? I get so much, at this moment, all the scholastics who get a hold of me, um, I find that is almost spam, So on my email, I probably get every day 50 notifications from this somebody who wants to sell me something, right? So that's real spam. Then there's another, 20 to 50 morons who, well, this is really it. I mean, look what Skippy says. He's a CIA guy. He should know. Of course, if anyone's telling you that, like this guy, it's like you got to be kidding me. It's like, really? What are you, moron? Here's a guy. Let's see, where is he? Boo, 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 do, 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 do. See, Janie's first, and he said John Birmingham has made thing that he's stealing your stuff. I've left it there so long. I left it there to be a archaeological dig, you know, and whatever there is, it's a exercise I'm taking and letting things go. I'm letting shit go. You know, I've died so many times. I've gotten to the place where I'm letting this life go. And I'm just here to serve love's co-creation. God. You know, because I'm a itinerant scholar. You where things come from. Oh, let's ask. Let's ask this guy. Boop, 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 boo, dee, dee, dee. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Etymology of the word God. Etymology of God.
According to Wikipedia, the English word God comes from the Old English God, which itself is derived from the Proto-Germanic Gudan.
That really helps, It conjugates in other Germanic language, including Gap, Goops, Gob, both Catholic, Gob, Old Norse Gob, Old Saxon, Old Frisian, Old Dutch Gob. Let's see. Let's see what these guys say. Online etymology. Let's see. God, Old English, God, supreme being, deity, Christian God, image of God, godlike person from Proto Germanic. I mean, they don't say where Gob comes from. It comes from Samaria. It means man who sheds gold, which is a uncertain origin, perhaps pi, got, that which invokes a source of Old Church, Slavic zaf, to call Saxton has, invoci epten inja, from the root gathu, to call, invoke, the notion of making a deal through sacrifice. We're getting someplace here, you know. But some tracked the pi goth, poured from the root gu, to the poor liberation of the source of the Greek. We're getting there. Of poor, also one lacking gold. A kubo gaba, poured earth, as in gold. Return to the burial mound of gold. Given the Greek facts, the Gamic, from many have referred in the first instance of the spirit eminent of Zeus, popular, meaning the big daddy up in the clouds, right? Shitting on everyone. So nowhere in here do we even get a theologic essence of that presence of love. Not a single thing in there is love. And you go into um, the points of where who's the guy starts Malachi, I think. When the the Sabbath came and they had to make the offerings of lamb, meaning blood, right? Because blood was the essence of life, of the power of being animated, and so you want to stay alive. You whack you know a sheep, a goat, and that's what we are, the sheep of the flock, right? And so it's instead of whacking one of us, but they did do that. They whacked women and back in the day, right? And so with the etymology of all of that, to right now, all you guys who want to use the word God, okay, I use love's co-creation, right? And I have a this you hear tenant, that little buzzing in your ear as you get old. That kind of happens. All that crap that happened to you, and it's also not just the nun, you know, breaking the little stirrup in this ear. It's interesting. This ear is the one that buzzes, but not a lot. And what I've used this buzzing for the last 30 years is and I learned this from the Marinols, that you meditate and pray and you use the thing that distracts you as the connective tissue to love's co-creation. And where did I get the love's co-creation? From the Marinols. Where did I get conscious intent I am? Om, from the Marinols. Where did I get conscious awareness I am? Om, the Marinols, right? They were a flock of, a Christian house of sanctuary, you know, not a business. They weren't a mercantile like the Jesuits and the Franciscans and the Knights Templars and a whole bunch of other guys like that. They were there who, all the people who, you know, talking about love, where a flock of Franciscans, not Franciscans, Maranols, but they're the most modern version. But the guy who put out his hands and the birds and squirrels would come there, that guy, um, Saint Anthony, the guy of lost souls, and then all of the Middle Age philosophers, Bacon and Thomas Aquinas, all those guys, right? They're all talking about the theology of love's co-creation. I mean, they do it in all, they're all speaking in different languages. So, and that's the beauty of reading the Bible. The Bible is truly a great book. It's not for what those morons. It was like written by monkeys with typewriters, right? It's no. It's that's why it's a sacred. Same thing with the many versions of the Quran, the many versions of Bhagavad Gita, many versions of the works of Buddha. These are all sacred works because no matter what moron is rewriting it for their own political and economic reasons, the word of love's co-creation comes through. So the tenet is the thing that could distract me. Oh, I can't stand it. No, as this thing hums along, I close my eyes and I go into state, and all of the other crap, Colonel Sanders, all the cockroaches that are moving in here, all of the stuff that could they lie, cheat, and steal. They make deals with me, and then I am honorable with my coming forth. But I do it because a I do it in service to love's co-creation. B, usually it makes me do physical labor. I mean, not a lot, but like keeping this road together. I walk up that half a mile and I just kind of rake the little swell. So every time it rains, like last night, not even a puddle this morning, right? Whereas before I did this last year and 2 years ago when Colonel Sanders destroyed the road, and destroying the road just manifested me into, I've been ignoring this for 15 years. I should get about doing it. So, I did. And so anyway, I basically do things not for my own betterment, but it usually works out that way. And if you read about tithing in the Bible, it's not tithing. It's not like me going, "Why don't you guys put something to PayPal? Why don't you? Nobody has." No, and no, I just do that as almost a trope. 'Cause the cash shows up whenever I need it. So why, I shouldn't be, oh, please send something. You know, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, dude awake 40 where to get a hold of me, right? You want to leave a message. Jane, it's always sweet to you, but you always say something. Howdy, since you, Bob and Cadre. That was nice. Yeah, howdy. A tip of the hat to you too, girl. Hope all's well, right? But I'd love to hear you say something on the subject. And what is today's subject? What are you? Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing with your life? That's the question, right? So what am I? I'm a griot. I tell a story in service to love's co-creation. To in every day, in every way, me, I take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. Now, I do that. Maybe I'm moving up to 66% of doing it all the time, of being conscious aware and conscious intent. But a good 34%, I'm a moron. And that's okay because when you're a moron, you make mistakes. And that's good. Mistakes are good, just like pain is good because it keeps you aware. And so let's call the saint, the Prince of Pain, Johnny Boy. Oh, let's first see if what Janie said. Let's see what his thingamajig is. boo, boo, do, 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 boo, 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 boo. There we go. John Boy. See what John Boy's up to. Same as latest from John Birmingham. Ooh,
When you
same.
have these woke revolutions, it requires all of us at some point to say, no, not going to do this.
John is. Oh, look at Johnny. Is this AI? I don't think John is really doing this. And how is this praise Jesus, praise God? I think he's getting erection. I think he hasn't had a woman, and this is like the ceremony of sticking it in the pie hole. Or maybe he's, doing something jiggy-jaggy, down low. Boy, that's inspirational. Oh, boy.
He yelled at to the trees. Kill someone. Kill someone.
Is he nice? No. Okay. Got a nice life. He's nice.
That's what John is doing. It's on his website. I mean, come on, guys. Johnny Boy, he's a good guy. It's just he's the poster boy of pain. He's the poster boy of self-inflicted suffering because that's all he knows. He talks about praise God, praise Jesus. Good to say that. We should, and again, I have a hard time getting that praise loves co-creation, praise Jesus, right? And because we know who Jesus is. Jesus is the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Again, it is patriarchal. There needs to be a reformation. Okay, let's see if we can get a hold of here we go. a ding, ding, ding. Willie, pick up. Probably watching this show. Come on, John. You can be on the show. 20 minutes and 20 seconds. I love when a plan comes together.
Please leave your message for 54029.
Anyway, we won't give the whole secret away. What can I say? Genie poo. Let's try that.
Sorry, the number you have dialed has calling restrictions that have prevented the completion of your call. Announcement 19. We're sorry, the number you have dialed has
Janie,
calling
this is your
restrictions
phone
that have
number.
prevented the completion of your call. Announcement 19.
Anyway, so come on, let's hear from somebody who has a feeling. When people, when I used to teach people how to meditate, they go, "I can't meditate. Oh no, I can't. I can't close." Your meditation isn't like going to a blank slate. No, meditation. Once you go into state, that's when all the crap and it's like floats by. I don't know if you guys have ever had streamers, whether you have had diabetic eyes, whether you have retinopathy, whether you have any of those kind of things. But you see these little streamers. It's the proteins in your thing, and that's why the diabetes keeps your body from making the right protein to get rid of these things in front of in the stream of your fishbowl or your eyeballs, right? So basically, when you go into state and you quiet your mind, you stop thinking about things. That's when all this crap shows up. It's like when you go to sleep, all these things pop into your head, right? And what you're supposed to do is just like when you're looking at your emails, you just kind of swipe them out of the way. So all the spam, you just swipe it out of the way, right? Whatever bad ideas or we all have, even Jesus had, moments where these freaking morons, I can't take it anymore. When he was in the garden after the Last Supper, he wanted to introduce the boys to God. They kept falling asleep. He should have known that the harmonic of God's word would put him to sleep. It's like when a lot of people say, I watch your show. It's, I don't really pay attention. I just play it in the background. And I love it because at night, I go straight to sleep because these are shamanic ceremonies. I do. I go into state before I start, right? And so the energetics that I am dropping this little shamanic pebble into the pond of the World Wide Web, I don't care how many people watch it. It's going out into the whole friggin' World Wide Web. Good luck, guys, ignoring this, right? And the more you ignore this, the more it has effect because it's not me doing this. I go into state and all the stuff kind of comes. I kind of swipe it out. The little tenant hums in my ear, and that is when I know, okay, I'm on the right frequency here, right? And then I just close my eyes and I let the voice come to me. And it's not a voice; it's just a feeling of well-being, a feeling of you are the lucky bastard I made you out to be. You're doing a great job. Whatever comes your way is what I'm sending you. Just remember those lessons I taught you of conscious intent I am and conscious awareness I am, and to be in service to love's co creation that I am. The work in progress. There is no finish line, and you, sweet cheeky monkey that you are a reflection of my will. I love you beyond any ability you have to understand my love. I love you so much because you can't even understand this love, and yet you accept it. You walk in gratitude of it, even though you don't understand it, and you magnify its grace by what you do in every day and every way to take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. And that's what I hear, not hear per se, but I feel. Right? So when I get annoyed, I kind of just go, okay, okay, okay. Conscious intent I am. And my conscious intent is to serve love's co-creation, right? And so not to get more likes or get to any of the above. Because I'll get what I'm doing this to serve love's co-creation and all of you. It's not about me. It's about the we in me. It's about the me in all of you. It's about empathy. That's why I do this. Because I feel empathetic. I could have stayed in the sun. I was sitting in the sun and Colonel Sanders' dogs came down, right? Now I couldn't, get off my lawn. No, I sat there and meditated, and they sat around me and meditated with me, right? And they're Charlie. He's the smartest, but everyone treats him like crap. He's the biggest. He could eat the little ones, no problem, but he doesn't, right? So he came over and just kind of leaned on me, right? And I kind of just kind of scratched his ear, and he was like, "Yeah, I like that, yeah." And then, you know, Pepper Tits. She just they just keep knocking her up, right? She's only less than 2 years old and she's had 6 litters. It's just not healthy for a dog, and she's not a happy chappy. So she's like, "Arr." And she came. Charlie's like in state. Oh yeah, rub that ear. So she kind of came over, and I kind of gave her a little biscuit, and so because they're not feeding her, and yet the kids are like sucking her dry, and they're selling them, and and the trees are just falling over here, right? This place is dying. It was the Garden of Eden 4 years ago, you know, and I knew something was up the fall of 2019, and one of my cohorts um, who works. Oh, how can I explain what they do? It's hard to explain. They work for entities, like I did. I worked for Brookings. I worked for, the United Nations. I worked for a lot of different things, and not so much for those entities, but entities within those entities that you don't know, like U.S. U.S. Psychotronic Society, Thule Society, uh, the who else? Electric Spacecraft Society, Bureau of Behavioral Investigation, and they not even call that anymore. I don't know what they call themselves now these days, but they used to be a Tavistock Institute. Where they came from it. And these are all splinters. They're all like little threads of all these things, right? And so there are people who work through all these things, and they constantly talk to me and said, "Hey, did you hear about this? And why don't you go see what you can find out about this?" Right? So I do because it's interesting. Right? Back in 2019, I was told that in Wuhan, China, there was a military Olympics, that all the um, you know whatever 200, 300 countries in the United Nations that have a military. United States, Russia, England, France, Germany, Italy, you name it, all those guys, India, China, everybody, right? They had a military Olympics because in every military they take the guys. I mean, it's like they have a band, so they take all the good people, they put them in a military band. All the people who know how to run and jump and play soccer, they're in a military because those kind of give the military a sense of pride, right? Sports gives pride. So they had all of these guys, all of these military people who, when they went back home, worked in the military all over the place. Like we sent close to 600 people the United States sent 600 people to this Olympics, right? And they all worked. They didn't work in the same, ice cream factory. No, they worked in, every little branch, every, different office. They were sent off, and basically, they all pretty much got COVID. So before COVID was even anything, this was like in September of 19. And I was talking to my friend, and they said, you should go check that out. And I did. And that's when I saw that this lab was there. And then I saw, YouTubes about how screwed up, they are doing. Oh, I forgot what the term is. When you give something, it's a game of play. When you give somebody a deadly pathogen and you screw with it to see how bad you can make it. And I used to build class 6 labs. Those are ones where guys in spacesuits are playing, and they have these hoods, so everything they're playing with is behind a hood, and all the air is being sucked up the hood, and it goes through different burners. There are different furnaces that burn the air, so anything in it. And class 6 is where it gets burnt 6 times and gets hotter, 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 hotter. And they take the particulate matter and do strange things with it. So I used to build those, right? And I kind of got into that because I used to work in hospitals. I used to, you have to wire a hospital way different than you wire your house. It's not just like, drilling a hole through a 2x4 and pulling a piece of Romex. I mean, basically every cable and wire in a hospital is basically in a pipe or in a protected um, covering of metal of sorts, and also are super grounded, super insulated, so gases can't get in, and maybe a little spark, boom, because there are all kinds of exotic things in hospitals. There's oxygen and all kinds of other gases and chemicals, and you name it. And there's different levels of medical security in a hospital, right? Between the emergency room and the ICU, right, and the operating room. I mean, there's lots of different. So I wired those things, got really good at it when I was in local 3, right? And so that's how I got into doing. Some guy who was doing that, he saw what I was doing. He was, he said, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. I have another company that does something you might. I've been watching you work on the CAT scan with just getting in, and Cinecam machines were really interesting because Cinecam machines are moving X-ray. It's like when before they had the robots that could go in and do operations. They had doctors with these Cinecam machines operating on you on the inside and watching a screen, not a TV screen, but basically they were getting zapped by. I mean, they had to go in there like in these suits from the Middle Ages, to, protect them from the X-rays. So anyway, the guy said, I'm got this laboratory that I'm going to be working on, and I need somebody at your skill level. And you're a local 3 guy here, but on this job you'd be consultant. You can kind of charge whatever you want. So I said, okay. So I did, and I kind of got into that, and it was interesting stuff. Way more interesting than just drilling a hole and pulling a piece of Romac and watching wiring a duplex. To be a real electrician, you got to do almost every nuclear power plants I've done. Theaters I've done, discos I've done, fancy restaurants I've done, factories I've done, power, high voltage, transmission lines I've done, distribution of high voltage transmission I've done. You name it, I've done it. Right. Build exotic power supplies, for people like Los Alamos, San Diaz, Kirkland Air Force Base, places like that, Brookhaven National Laboratories, I've done. And I'm always a consultant, right? I'm not on anyone's payroll, right? And yes, I have to sign non-disclosure things, so I don't talk about it. I mean, I can talk about just like I just did. Because you're trying to find me, it's quite interesting. Like when my draft board caught up to me, and I went down to Whitehall to stand online in my underpants. The guy at the desk said, "No, no, no. You go upstairs, fifth floor. Sergeant Larry." And I go up there, and he goes, "Oh, sit down." And he starts piling boxes on his desk, and about 6 boxes. And he goes, we've been trying to find you for the last year and a half. And this is all of the files we have on you." And it's like, that makes no sense. You're like here, and then you're like Waldo. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Al? So he basically said, "Listen, we don't trust you with a gun, right? We don't trust you to go kill people for Wall Street. How would you like to do alternative service?" I said, "Sure." See, this is love's co-creation. It's what it does to me all the freaking time. I am put in these situations where I learn things, I interact with people, and I am at service to love's co-creation. Now I was told early in my life. My grandma told me this when I was a little boy, that this is what you're put on earth to do. Right? So that's when I was 6 and I was running around with this crew, and they were lying, cheating, and stealing all the time, right? Trying to outdo each other, right? And at 6, yeah, they get caught. Well, I could do it better than they did. Not lying, I could never lie. I'm just not a liar. I just can't lie. I don't have it in me to lie. I don't have the skill set to lie, right? I'll tell you a story, but I can't lie. But just taking stuff from people, not a problem, right? But I saw what happened to these guys, and they didn't go to jail or get it, but their self worth went down, 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 down. The more they got away with it, their self worth went down. Right? Me, early on, I said, "I'm not doing this." And um, Mr. Bonzini had this candy ice cream store on 128th Street, now Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, and we'd go in there, every day, right? And these guys would steal candy, right? And I never did. I would kind of go over to the magazine racks and look at you know Marvel comics and DC comics were more Marvel just coming out, and I was and Playboy was there, but I just looked at that magazine to read the articles. Um, anyway, and I would talk to Mr. Benzanzini, and I remember him, say to me, um, "Your friends, you shouldn't hang with them." And I said, "Well, you know, I've known him my whole life. I mean, who else?" He said, "No, no, they are not like you." And I said, "What do you mean they're not like me?" They said, "Well, you do not lie, cheat, and steal. When you talk to me, you don't lie, and when you're dealing with them, you don't cheat them, and you don't do like they do, steal, right? And they lie, cheat, and steal to you all the time, but you have nothing to lie, cheat, and steal for, so they don't really, right? And you always talk them out of what they're about to do really stupid, and so um, they've known you, and so you're the one person they can listen to, right? Not their parents, not their not the policeman, not Officer Larry on the corner, and everyone basically watches out for you. Those guys, no one watches out for them. You watch out for them, but no one else, right? So that's when I was 6. Right? So when he told me that when I was 6, I really realized that well, that's what my grandma's always telling me, and so I do. I not do what my grandma tells me to do. I do what my grandma does. I follow her example, and that's what led me to be that child at 6. But this man uttered it in a way that no one else had, because my grandma wasn't telling me what to do. She was just showing me what to do, right? And telling me great stories, right? She was my first griot master, right? So, since I can remember, I don't lie, cheat, or steal because there is no upside to it. And, I could, every now and then there's oh, look. I mean, the only kind of thing is if ground scores are okay. Like the other day, I needed a hat. I mean, it was friggin' cold. I'm like, I drive to this place, and I'm supposed to meet somebody. Of course, they stand me up. I'm always right on the dot, right? So I'm waiting there. And I go, I'm not going to sit in my car. It's a beautiful day. I got out, and the wind is blowing. It's like, Jesus, it's cold. And I had nothing to cover. I was like this. I looked down, and there's this nice. Do I have it with me now? But there was a nice hat. It was placed there for me. I put it on. It was a Cargill hat. It was a blue hat. It warmed up my head like, okay, thank you, God. Thank you, love's co-creation, right? so, so I don't lie, cheat, and steal, right? You know, Sometimes, I have no money, so sometimes there are things that I don't have, um, and one is toilet paper. Sometimes, right? And I can go into, I'll be in a place, I'll go use this place is, public bathroom, and they have, on the commode, they have 3 or 4, rolls kinda stacked up there. If you run out of one, you can grab one of those, right? Now, I could easily grab one of those and stick it, under my arm and walk out with it, but I don't, period. I don't. That's stealing, right? So I don't do that. So what happens? I go home and I'm, like, looking through the piles of stuff, not crap, stuff. And bingo, I found, about, this was a couple last week. I was in this restaurant and it has, I do my, I do most of my restaurants, if not here on my neighbor's driveway when there's no one here. I do it in, there's 2 restaurants that are really great. This one has, I can get a big, great meal for about $8, right? And I have right here the little box that my car is, right? I will always, if I have no money, no money whatsoever, end of the month, I got to wait another, 10 days before I get my Social Security check. Have no money. I just look in this box and I will find $20, in quarters, in nickels, in dollar bills. I'm getting close to the month, and what's his name? You know, Colonel Sanders. So like I said, he's always stealing, cheating, lying, getting stuff. Wheeling, deal. He calls it wheeling, dealing. Anyway, so he's taking the my hippie bus, and that's great. Oh, here's some. Here's another one I found. Someone just threw this out. I mean, it was a hat that had been sewed up in a top, and then it started to unfurl itself, right? And they just threw it out, right? And it got blown into a tree. It was like up in the tree, like blowing around. Again, I needed a hat, and so what did I do? This end was really this is starting to really unfurl, but this one really. So all I did was this: I rolled it up and then put it on my head. Very nice, right? So that's what comes into my life, right? Always, whatever I need, bingo. So this, Colonel Sanders, he's taken my hippie bus away, and that's fine because I'm passing it on. I'm letting it go, right? I've had it for, I got it in 1992 or three when I was doing ethnography for the U.S. Forest Service, right? Who lived out there in the woods, and when they were building the I-26. Um, from Asheville up to Tennessee, because there was no highway. The highway 40 and 26 came to Asheville, went up to 3 or 4 little towns, and just when the hill started to the top up there, it became a county road. Like so, 8 lanes into 2, up and down and up and down and up and tractor trailers are doing it, and they're like, and they would get, it was like snowstorms would fly in there, and it was like, terrible, you know. And so they had to build the interstate. They finally were going to do it. But one reason why they kept putting it off is that it's right on bloody Madison County. Never stopped it didn't, it didn't lose the Civil War, right? And the way they monetized was not cotton, but everything illegal, moonshine, bud, you name it. I mean, they were growing bud before the Civil War, you know, and not to, make rope out of it, you know. So um, their attitude was anybody who they did not know, they would just kill because they had really small roads, and all of NASCAR started there because they would get these cars, really soup them up, and take them, you know, down into Asheville or Johnson City. Those were their two points of distribution, and so the federal government just kept putting it up because 17, 91, 26, whatever else the number was there, 260. It was this two-lane road. Many different four-lane highways zipped into two lanes, right? And it would be full of tractor trailers, right? And so, and it was a sawtooth mountain range, bing, 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 bing. And so the road did this and this and this and woo, and every day there would be tractor trailers and cars backed up like 50 miles in both directions, right? So they had to, make um, but, when they make the Watauga River into Watauga Lake and Watauga Bridge, and on one side was, that bridge enabled the revenuers to come after the Shine Bud folk who were related to the Madison. They were their same ilk, right? Because in reality, they're not too far apart. Right? Those guys just blew up the bridge, right? And that totally screwed, all the guys who had tractor trailers. These guys blew up. This is 1960, whatever, and they blew up and because they were pissed off because the TVA built this dam, and people knew they were building it, but the TVA did not tell anybody what it was going to do to the neighborhood. So it flooded out 6 towns, the biggest being Butler, that had about 11,000 people in it. And they didn't really, they didn't buy the people's land out. There's, grandma sitting up on the porch, and then the water just slowly comes over her feet, right? And then the feds came by with boats. Hey, you better get out, grandma. It's gonna go over your head. We'll give you $20 for your house. And that's, so that's, I was in Asheville, and I was doing all this demographic work. First job I did there was doing a demography, ethnography of the Biltmore House, and then City County Plaza, because they had a ton of documentation in the basement, and they did, it was just in boxes and boxes. And so the same team that we did the Biltmore House, we did that. And then we went off and did a ethnography of the Cherokee up in Cherokee, North Carolina, Waynesville. And we did one for Waynesville too, all getting ready for the big splat, the big resetting. I mean, they've been getting ready for the big resetting, since the Dark Ages, pretty much. And so, and we are, why did, Gene Roddenberry's, Final Conflict, and slash, um, you know, Star Trek, because he was paid to put the idea of the Federation slash fascist state here, and you look at and the Federation looks pretty nice. Everyone's got a house and job and run around in groovy, outfits and supporting, not getting in the way of cavemen, developing, but having wars everywhere, right? And same as it ever was, right? And so, and then go watch Gene Roddenberry's, Final Conflict. These characters come, the visitors come, and hey, we're gonna cure all your diseases. We're gonna feed everyone. We're gonna get free clean energy. We're gonna clean up your pollution. We're gonna do all this. Just very much like the visitors that was on ABC and NBC. Who ended up being reptiles, right? And Radberry's things. Those characters were us. They came here way, they were like the Nephilim. And so, that was, a million years ago when they showed up and made us, and then they split and they coming back because they got in trouble and that's why they left all these people seeded all over the place because they knew at some time, some point, they would let these us evolve to a certain point, and then they would show up because they would need us as cannon fodder, right? So. So, Gene, go watch that. Gene, go on Tubi. They have both those things. So, and if you go again, me being the oh, you know, itinerant scholar, I've only been in California a few times, and people come and say, "Oh, California's your place you ought to be." I'm like, Jeb, you're so laid back, man. You're so Californian. I couldn't stand that place. People were just so phony, fake, and they stealing everything. Just everything was extraction. Everything was commoditized. There was no real intimacy. What the frack ever. Right? So anyway, the first time I was there was 1972 or three. First time I met Christine, right? And she just kind of floated by. I was at this party. I really met her best friend. What's her name? Etra, Louise Etra, brilliant woman, right? And the Louise Etra, no, the Etra Rudd synthesizer. That's I came there because I was working for Xerox, and Grandpa Xerox said, "Hey, they're doing this thing," and I've given them an operating system, and only because I want to see how this is going to work, because I want to start digitizing everything, and these guys are trying to do digital animation, and they made this synthesizer, right? So, yeah, I went, and that's where I kind of stumbled into Xerox PARC, and that's where all of those guys, Mister Moron Boy, Mini Penis, Micro Penis, I mean. Mini Penis is not Facebook. Mini Penis is Moron Boy Tesla. He doesn't even know who that guy was. So, and he wasn't there, but Micro Penis was, and Jobs, getting a blowjob, Jobs, he was there. There are all these guys there, and they didn't know squat. They were bred to be, and they were part of bloodlines. Their parents maybe have been upper middle class and not super rich, but their bloodlines, right? Like, I think the girl who was part of Google, that crew, right? And all of these things. Oh, we, was started in a garage, in Stanford. No, 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 no. All this, like, Apple's, this device. This is a miniaturization of the keyhole spy satellite. This device was given to us, and all those platforms are given to us because they use it. This is what is known as surveillance economy, or surveillance mercantile surveillance, meaning when you Google is Googling you more than you were Googling Google, right? That's why they give that seemingly free, right? No, they are monetizing you 100%. They're getting ready, you're already being, transhumanized. All those poor little kids, right? I see them, I go into these, places to have breakfast, and the parents just eat the tablet in front of the kid, and the kid he wants the love of his parents, and his parents are this, and Anyway, here it is, 55 minutes and 19 seconds. So who are you? What are you doing here? Come on, there's two of you there. How about two thumbs up there? Come on, let's have more. And how about some? If you can't put a comment on the chat, this ain't a chat. Howdy, Sensei Al Bob, and that's not a chat. No, that's like a transactional thing. That's kind of what the rabbis did with they brought the goats and the sheep to be sacrificed, and they brought in the ones with broken legs, right? And Malachi, hey, wait a minute, God said nothing with a blemish. Oh well, he doesn't know, he'll never see, right? I mean, that's what led up to everyone being turned to salt, and whatever that town was, Sodom and Gomorrah. And those were all Jews. Temple, they all were believers. Watch, wife. Don't look back, honey. Don't look back. So, and love's co-creation did not turn those folk into salt. They themselves, through their moron activities, did that because they became less and less energized with the prana of love's co-creation. Because every time they lied, cheat, and steal, just like my friends, they were being turned into salt. And I worked for the New York City Housing Authority, again, a consultant. I was a negotiator, when it's a really hot summer day, and I would be with do I have a picture of it now? My partner, when we did the homestead thing, finally the city and the developers tried to, destroy us as much as they could. They actually sent, once they couldn't get a hold of us legally, because we had better lawyers than we at least we had people motivated by what was in their heart rather than what was in their pocketbook. And that's why we won in court all the time. So what they do? They sent in the police to just beat us up, not arrest us, just to kick the door in. They couldn't have a legal warrant to do that, so they just kicked the door in and beat the crap out of us. The anarchist morons, not the old guys, but the ones in the black jackets with the A and the circle, and we could just throw Molotov cocktails from the roof. This one moron tried to do it, and he set himself on fire and burnt his house, his building down. Took 5 people out of their apartments, right? And no, I said no. We have to do an alternative aesthetic. So what did we do? I went to the guys who started the Nueva Rican Cafe. They're both, I forget their names, but they were both real famous. One guy, I think, got a Nobel Prize or Pulitzer. Anyway, so they said, "No, we're becoming too famous to get involved in this. We don't want to, not get the invitation to go to Park Avenue parties and tell people how cool we are." And there were, as we were leaving, there were these really amazing women, and they go, "We'll help you, and we're poets. And my friend who's a bard, yeah, they're druids." And they said, "Wait, well, maybe they knew what he was talking about." So, and the druids were the real kick-ass warriors. I mean, they're the only guys who ever kicked the Romans' butt, right? Because they would run around the hedgerows. That's why I started the hedgerow longhouse, right? Hedgerow is where the Romans couldn't get to the other. I mean, the Druids were just on the other side. You moron, blah, 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 and the Romans couldn't get them because there were all this thick, thorny stuff they couldn't get through, right? But the Druids knew where the hole in the, because they built it 1,000 years ago in Ireland. It was all stone. It was all under the sea. All the, so they cleared all those stones out of the way so they could grow food. And then in all those stones is where all the thorny bushes grew up. So you do that for, they grow for 1,000 years. It's pretty, it's like a tenth of a mile wide. and all this thorny stuff and big trees. You're not going in there. Anything you see in middle age stories about, don't go into that forest. This is a hedgerow they're talking about, right? When you're talking about, bear, Brer Rabbit, that's what a hedgerow is, right? Don't throw me in the hedgerow, oh Bear. So there's Fish. Hey y'all, hey sweetie. And so today's little thing, Fish, is about who and what you are. What are we doing here? And my main drift is not to lie, cheat, or steal. And and I keep going into different lands like the Bible. I was talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, and why you know were they all turned in? Was because they were having strange sex with donkeys and rabbits and things of that nature? No, or goats? No. It was because basically part of and this people who like John Buck, I only read the New Testament. It's like because he likes the fun stuff of the New Testament. There's a superhero called Jesus. You know, hail Jesus, hail, 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 hail. No, it's not hail. It's praise, not hail. Praise. Thank you. That's what praise is. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for putting me here, helping me out. You know, I'm here to serve you. That's all I'm doing. I'm here to. That's all God wants is just love God. And it's hard for me. I earlier on I asked the magic box what the etymology of the word God is, and it kept saying all these, things from Germanic, gob and glob and zob, and these are all basically earth-centric um, things, like, but not Gaia, because Gaia is Mother Earth, right? These are all masculine, meaning taking things out of the earth, right? And God, loves co-creation, does not take, it gives, right? And our place is to, in every day and every way, take that piece of the earth and make it stronger and be love's reflection. It's a work in progress. There is no finish line, right? And we're here to be the reflection, right? So 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 52 seconds. So come on, kids. Let's hear something from you about what. Let's try Johnny's. Let's see if Johnny's. YouTube's. I don't really watch them. This is the same thing. Him doing push-ups, and it looks like that looks like something from Sodom and Gomorrah. Johnny boy, if you're watching, watch out. You could be a pillar of salt soon. Let's see. And Janie keeps saying, "Oh, Johnny's doing this, Johnny." She said that he was, taking all my stuff. Well, I left it there. It was an exercise of letting go. The only thing, John, if you're watching, if you find any documents, especially my marriage thing to my first wife and the photos that we took in the photo booth in Paddington Station in London, I would like that. I know you stole that. And the pictures of my grandparents and their parents getting married, one's a tintype, one's old timey photo, and their documents of their marriage, and a number of my documents. But I know you took, because I kept them in this really fine redwood box with pearl inlay that the old crone gave me, right? And I had all these documents in there. And I saw you have that in your place. And then I said, "Hey, where'd you get that?" And then it no longer was in your place. Right? And you spoke about it, and you had a YouTube where you said, "There's this magic box. Look," and you showed all these pictures of my heritage, and you called it your own. Now that's lying, cheating, and stealing. And I know it's all right. I'm not calling you out on it per se, because I mean, you did that really amazing video of pictures of your mom in the backyard trimming the bushes and dancing, and of your grandfather playing music, and that was, I mean, why didn't you stick with that? I mean, you make some really great videos, John. You don't have to uh, steal, but you don't steal. You more appropriate. That's the word. That's the legal term, right? Well, everything in his house is mine, so it's mine, right? Okay, well, that's good. And it's all yours. And it was an exercise of letting it go, right? And that's part of life. The more we can let go, you know, John, you're always going on and on and on about my second wife. Oh, you can't have sex with anybody else unless it's her. And I'm like, she's dead. That's a little tough. Then she came back, and then Love's Co-Creation told us that okay, this was just a little learning experience, and you guys did a great job dealing with this scenario, and so and I did. I learned from it. I let go of that relation because we were so like welded together. Our souls were from past and past and past and past and past and past lives. That and all these other masters from all those times came. Every time we made love, she would go into state, and these characters would speak. It's called what's it called? Um, well, there's remote viewing, and there's remote writing, and there is channeling. You know, I would guess it would be channeling. Now, psychologists would say that she's just going deep into her id and bringing out metaphors of what she's experienced. Well, that's true, but I'm a shrinky boy, and why I don't do it is because psychology tried to basically amortize the spiritual gnosis of theology, and I'm more a theologian than a shrinky boy. Now, their metaphors, they are natural. They come from Love's Co-Creation, so it's not like I'm not gonna use that because it fits so nicely and it helps people. But I'm not going to get people to let go of their spirituality, right? And just say, "Oh, just do this process, and you'll be able to amortize your life away," right? So now pay me 160 bucks an hour. I mean, I quit that because my boss said, "You are really good at this. You're going to be one of us." I said, "What?" He said, "Oh yeah, we're going to put you on the board. We're going to give you a percentage of this, but you just, stop cutting these people loose after 4 visits. They have really great insurance. We want them here for at least 50 years. You can do that." And I said, "I quit." What? I mean, you've been doing this for 6 years. You've gotten yourself in this. You've like paid your dues. You've gone to all this more about this than we do. That's why we're going to put you on the board. It'll make us look good. I quit. I don't want to be you scumbag. I just did that job because it gave me access to helping a certain group of people, which then amortized my work to take off their taxes because these were all people who couldn't afford. They were all people in hospitals that were, locked away, And I wanted to try Wilhelm Reich's orgone accumulator. I made one, in this hospital. I was trying it out on him, right? I mean, it's a cardboard box with wool and you know, copper netting. It's not like giving them a something that was going inside them, right? No drugs. This was just a cardboard room. Here, sit in this. Here's this nice chair. Sit in this, and we'll just talk. Seemed to work. I did not do any blind studies, but it seemed to work, right? And that's the only reason I did that job because it allowed me to do that. Plus, they put me in 5 different hospitals, and I did it. I ran what I did by the state and national protocols that were set up by all those people who set that shit up. Everyone in the hospital, from the head administrator down, everyone didn't do the protocols because it took too much time, too much effort, and cost them too much money. They just wanted to take the money and keep the people locked up. That was it. You know, it was rubber room, prison, right? And I was, and they'd sell the drugs on a black market. Me, I did all the protocols where I had to number each one and count each one. And the only reason the state found out these people were doing something nasty was that I was following the protocol. And so each of those hospitals got, but it was bad because they closed the hospital down. So 1,600 people now had no place, so they put them on the street. No good deed goes unpunished, right? So what did I do? I basically swept them up and tried to get them into churches and other things that were more on the ground, and none of the churches wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I started quoting the Bible about it and didn't want to do it. Now that's what we're here to do. We're here to do love's co-creation by serving our fellow man, right? Now people quote it all the time. Colonel Sanders always says, treat your neighbor like you want to be treated. So I do, right? I go 10 times past it because, again, it always works out for me, So, I mean, the last 2 years I've taken care. No one else has helped me take care of it. And then this other moron, well, you're going to have to pay, $6,000 because we're going to pave everything. I said, those big potholes that are, like 20 foot long, 8 feet wide, and 6 foot deep. Where on this road are they? They're on the paved part of the road. The place where there's just dirt and stone, you don't find any. Why? Because the water runs through it. Whereas the water on the blacktop cuts up the blacktop. Well, it's going to look much nicer, But where I drive, I walk up the thing and I kind of rake wherever the water comes down. We just like last night. We had, it rained maybe an inch over 3 hours, right? So that was what they call a gully washer. Now we used to have those all the time. Now we have them maybe 3 or 4 times a month, but we used to have them 4 or 5 times a week. That's why the death road is the way it is. And I used to fix it because I could go out that way, and it was a shorter way out. It, instead of going half a mile more than I had to go, it was shorter, right? And so the potholes that were there, I went and got some bags of cement, mixed it up, filled those potholes with cement, and they're still fixed. The other ones where people threw a bag of, and I don't understand it because, I know why they did it. It looked better and it was quicker. But the bags of cement, there's a cement place over there. I would get these 70-pound bags of cement for $3, whereas the 20-pound bag of asphalt cost $15. Right? I was like, what? What are you? So I just had them put them in the back of this trusty little pony, and I don't open up the hatch, hit it with a thing, pour the, just the concrete, and I got the concrete with the little stones, and it would be in there, right? And then it would rain, and it would still stay in there, right? And then it would firm up, and then it would rain again, and then it would get sunny for about 3 or 4 days, and then it was concrete. And the ones that I did 15 years ago are still filled. And I saw the more I said, so he goes, no, we're going to chop it all up and we're going to get the machine to put down a full white. I said, you're going to have to pay $5,000. I said, what are you nuts? I live like a millionaire on $400 a month. I can't afford, $5,000. What are you, stupid? You are stupid. If that's what you're going to do, you're stupid. Don't call. I'm a professional. I'm a businessman. I can see this man. It's all about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me. Me. And I said, oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? How you doing with that? Well, I bought it like 4 years ago, and the people broke in, and they were living in my bed. They shit in my bed. They used my special soap for my penis. Oh, I shit my penis. I should have shit my penis. Oh! Calm down. Calm down. But that's what you see in our Congress. That guy, that was a little theatrical. See, I'm an actor. I went to Juilliard. I'm, you know, went to Herbert Berghoff and Uta Hagen's school. I was their technical director. I was the ME at Carnegie Hall. That was a great job. My office was way on top of the elevator shaft. I mean, no one even knew it was up there, right? I mean, the guys who fixed the elevator knew, but and that guy he wasn't local three. I was local three, but I had known him from the World Trade Center. He worked on the World Trade Center elevators, and I helped him out a lot, right? Because that was when I was coming up in the union. We were right at that point. The unions used to be social entities. I did a lot of great social work, and then the mob took them over, and that was that. And the mob is the CIA. The CIA is the mob. World War II, Sicily. Go see that. And also, the CIA that we have today is really Nazis. The at the end of World War II, I forgot the general's name, but we didn't just bring in Werner and his buddies. It wasn't like the Mickey Mouse Club. We brought in 70,000 Nazis into our government, and that's why our government is the way it is today. That's why we have a breakaway civilization. That's why we have never-ending wars. That's why we have never-ending social conflict. If you have love in your heart, you're not going to get upset about woke or cancel culture. Oh, God, please. You don't want to be that guy. I just theatrically gave you a little taste of, and that's what our society is. That character is the whole thing. I mean, why does Johnny Boy? Why are all his videos about him doing push-ups and being in his underwear, right, and showing off his muscles? How's that helping his children? How's that getting him any love, right? I experience love 24/7, 365, right? And he's going, not fornication, not fornication, not fornication. What? Do you even know what fornication is? Fornication. You know what the word FUCK stands for? Fornication under church and king. Fornication. Oh, let's ask the magic box. Let's see. Definition of fornication.
Here's the definition of fornication: formal, humorous, sexual intercourse between people not married to each other.
What is the biblical definition of fornication?
According to Wikipedia, to engage in premarital or extramarital sex, before or outside of marriage, is to sin in God's sight.
That is incorrect. Fornication wasn't about being married. It was about the connectivity of the spiritual essence of the man and the woman under God. Right? That's what it's about. So you could be married. You could go there's plenty of men and women who get purchased into marriage. I pre-described, pre-oriented, whatever they, where your parents say, okay, we need to feed the rest of the kids. We're selling you up to this old guy. He's going to give us money for you. So, but hey, in the eyes of the state, hey, but they're married. That happened a great deal in many different religious or groups. And it was just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, where the rabbis were offering goats with broken legs, right? And they were making leavened bread. You're supposed to, not have leavened bread per seder. You're supposed to eat matzah, right? And that's just the little things they did. So you read the Bible, you get the bigger picture, not advertised, but you have to read the Bible. People quote the Bible, but don't read it, because reading is understanding the word. And in the beginning was the word. When things were all dark, the word was the only thing that was there. And all these sacred books are basically like comic books. But what's truly amazing about them is that that the word is there. If you let the word, and what happens when you hear a word? What is the word? What the words are coming out of my mouth? What's happening? Air is coming from my lungs, going across my damaged voice box, and vibrations are coming out, and you're hearing those vibrations. And vibrations are what make us. Otherwise, we're just a bag of water. What is that prana, that energy that comes into us that's coming from above? That's love's co creation, that prana. And it is grounded to Mother Earth. That's our chi, right? And it's in the Christian Bible, the Jewish Torah, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in, the teachings of Buddha. All these guys were great. But Jesus is a different character, right? But everybody else, Moses and all, they were great, as in Islam. We speak of the great prophet Muhammad, right? They don't call him God or the son of God, the great prophet, meaning God spoke to him. That's what the word prophet means, right? God speaks to you. And God speaks to everybody, not just some special dude named Moses. And no, Moses was just some puddinhead on top of a hill, hanging out with sheep, and that's what people saw. That's not who Moses was. And he has quite the lineage, right? But that's, in I want to be an A-lister, well, Moses sure wasn't an A-lister, that's for sure, you know. So 1 hour and 23 minutes and 10 seconds. Getting a little nippy. I'm gonna go make dinner. So no one's made a single, they just, hi, hi. I could say that. Would you want to watch this if I was for 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 23 seconds going, hi, hey, hi, good to see you. Hey, no, come on. Let's have a little conversation here. That's what I'm looking for. Hear from you guys, from all the stuff I'm telling you. Sensei Al Bob, you're full of it. Or Sensei Al Bob, I think that's interesting. But what about this? Jamie does a pretty good job of that when he shows up. Dragon does a pretty good job when he shows up. A few others do a pretty good job when it shows up. But the usual suspects, come on. Now, Bish, when I talk to you, we have great conversations. I know that you're probably working, or, Fish is like the hardest working person I know at this second. She's always multitasking. And what's great about a Fish is that, most people multitask. And me, I have to focus on that one thing. You know, whatever I do with conscious intent, right? I do my best. She does best doing 20 different things at once. Pretty amazing, you know. Well, that's why she's Fish. She swims around. Anyway, I'm gonna go. It was fun. Maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow, but maybe I won't. It's usually how whenever I can find a a Wi-Fi. Love you guys. Catch you later.